Hello, third graders, and welcome to day 2 of reading out of our Reading Mastery book. I hope that yesterday everything went okay for you. Today we're going to do basically the same thing that we did yesterday, except today we're on lesson 2 in our Reading Mastery book. So today you're going to need your Reading Mastery book, your blue book, and then your packet. It has the geese on the cover. That's labeled Reading Mastery Packet number 1 for lessons 1 through 12. Today we're going to do lesson 2 together to make sure that everyone has really good answers and that we're all on the same page. So today, if we turn to our blue Reading Mastery book, we're going to be on lesson 2, which is on page 4. Okay, so everyone turn to page 4. So we're going to go over the vocabulary words again, just like we did yesterday. I'm going to say the word, and I'm going to say what word, and then you at home are going to repeat back the words while looking at your book. I don't want you looking at me on the screen. I want you looking in your book, okay? Because remember, these are the tricky words that we're going to have in today's reading. So it's really important that you know the words and that you can pronounce them so that you don't get stuck. Okay, so I'm going to turn to my teacher book. All right, here we go. Everyone find column 1. Our first word is flocks. What word? Our second word is migration. What word? Word 3 is answers. What word? Word 4 is flapping. What word? Word 5 is flyers. What word? Word 6 is shorter. What word? Okay. Find column 2. Some of these look a little bit familiar from yesterday. Word 1 says Florida. What word? Word 2 says yearly. What word? Word 3 says sudden. What word? Word 4 says breeze. What word? Word 5 says migrate. What word? Word 6 says lonely. What word? So I'm noticing that in column 2, I'm thinking of a word, and I'm going to give you a few clues for you to try to figure out what it is. Okay, so again, it's in column 2. And it's the only word in column 2 that only has one syllable. What word am I thinking of? Breeze, that's right. Breeze is the only word in that column that only has one syllable. All of the other ones have 2. Okay, so find part B in your textbook now, scholars. We're going to read the next story about Old Henry. First, we're going to read the information passage. It gives some more facts about geese. So what we're going to do now, scholars, is I'm going to read the facts about geese, and I'm going to pause and ask you the questions. I want you at home to answer the questions out loud, okay? And then when we read the story, Mrs. Halverson is going to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to read the story to you, pausing for questions. Then you at home are going to read the story by yourself. And remember, bonus cool points, which don't actually mean anything. They're just kind of for fun. Extra cool bonus points if you read it out loud to a parent or a sibling or a pet or a stuffed animal or to yourself. Okay? So I'm going to read the information passage. And then I'm going to read the story, and then you are going to read the story out loud. Okay, here we go. More facts about geese. Most wild geese are born in Canada and spend every summer in Canada. Where were they born? Canada, that's right. The map shows Canada. It is a very large country that is north of the United States. Touch Canada. Go ahead, find Canada and touch it. Geese live in flocks that may have more than 50 geese in them. In the fall, flocks fly south to their winter home. Then, in the spring, they return to their summer home in Canada. So which direction do they fly in the fall? South, good. And which direction do they fly in the spring? North, that's right. This yearly flying to the south and to the north is called a migration. When geese migrate in the fall, they fly south. In which direction do they migrate in the spring? North, that's right. The geese that you're reading about migrate to a place in Florida. The map shows the path of the migration from Big Trout Lake in Canada to Crooked Lake in Florida. So scholars, take a look at that map. It's of Canada and the United States. And if you see that green line there, you can see how far those geese are flying. So Big Trout Lake is up in Canada, north of Minnesota, if you see that. And then they kind of have a flight path through Michigan, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and then they finally land in Florida at their final destination. That's named Crooked Lake. Okay. Geese migrate south in the fall because the lakes and rivers freeze in Canada. Farther south, lakes and rivers do not freeze. So, a lot of us here in Minnesota have seen geese this summer. They might be nesting, or they might be on the lake, or just walking around. They're kind of all over. But I've seen a lot of geese in the water, and I think that that's where they like to take their babies. It's kind of like where they like to live. What happens when where they like to live freezes, right? They probably wouldn't make it because they'd freeze probably right along with the lake. So then they have to migrate south where they can find a nice lake that doesn't freeze in the wintertime. Are the lakes in Florida frozen in the wintertime? No, because it's too far south. It's warmer there in the winter. Are the lakes in Canada frozen in the wintertime? Yes. This is more like Minnesota, where the lakes freeze in the winter. Let's start at that last paragraph here. Not all flocks migrate to the same place in the south. Some flocks migrate over 3,000 miles to their winter home. Some migrate only 1,000 miles. So, do flocks migrate to the same spot in the south? No. You can find geese spending the winter wherever the lakes don't freeze. Excuse me, my throat was getting a little dry there. Okay. Find part C in your textbook. Everybody touch the title. Everybody, what's the title? Henry Meets Tim. That's right. Okay, so as I'm reading, you know that I'm reading, right? It is your job as a scholar at home to be following along with what I'm reading with your finger, okay? And then after I'm done reading, you're going to read it by yourself out loud, okay? Are you ready? Part C, Henry Meets Tim. Henry meets Tim. Henry stayed in Canada while the other geese in the flock went south for the winter. It was lonely being all alone on Big Trout Lake, but Henry had felt lonely for the last 5 years. That was when his wife had died. Henry still missed her. She had been his mate since they were both 3 years old. What country was Henry born in? Canada, that's right. In which direction had the flock gone? South. How long ago had Henry's wife died? 5 years ago. The story said she had been his mate since they were how old? 3. So that's 27 years together, right? If she died when she was 30. And she had been with Henry, that's 27 years. That's a long time. Let's keep reading. We're at the part where it starts, so Henry. So Henry waited for winter. He spent time walking, swimming, and looking at the sky. Every now and then a flock of geese would fly by. Henry would listen to the leader as he honked directions to the other geese. The days were getting shorter and colder. Henry knew that very soon Big Trout Lake would freeze. 9 days after the others had left, Old Henry saw another Canada goose walking along the shore. Old Henry could tell that it was a very young goose. It wasn't very big, and it didn't seem to know where it was going. Scholars, the story told us how the days were changing. How were they changing? They were getting colder and shorter. So that's going to start happening here in Minnesota too, right? As we get into the fall and into the winter, the days are going to be shorter. The sun's going to set earlier. And it's going to get much colder. The lake would freeze over soon, right? Yeah. So the other goose that Henry saw was a Canada goose. How did Henry know that he was young? That's right, he was small. He didn't really seem to know where he was going, right? Hey there, Henry called. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be on your way to Florida. The young goose said, Oh, I couldn't learn to fly because my leg was hurt. Old Henry knew about that problem. When young geese learn to fly, they start out by running faster and faster. They hold their wings out to the side as they run. Then they flap their wings and fly. But if they can't run fast, they can't fly. Later, geese learn to take off from the water. But that's not the first thing they learn about flying. What do geese have to do to learn to fly? They run faster and faster with their wings out to the side. Then they flap their wings and fly. Why would a goose that had a bad leg have trouble learning how to fly? That's right, because if you can't run fast, you can't take off. Let's read this last little part. Well, Henry said, if you don't have anything better to do, swim out here and join me. I would be glad to have your company. So, since old Henry was feeling so lonely and he saw this young Canada goose, he thought, I'm going to invite you to swim with me and talk with me so that I'm not feeling so lonely. Okay, so I want you all to pause the video. You're going to read the story out loud. So pause, read. Okay, now I'm assuming that all of you are following my directions at home and that you all read the story again out loud. And so now we're going to go on to our homework page. So lesson 2. Okay, do you see that there's still that little rubric on the top? Yeah, so you need to read that rubric first before you answer anything. Okay, so I know that so the directions say, read the questions carefully. Answer every part of the rubric. Every part of the question, excuse me. It will be graded with the following rubric. So let's read the rubric. Part of the question is in my answer so that it makes sense to readers. All parts of the question are answered. One piece of textual evidence, which means that you're just finding an example from the story. You're not just making it up. A thoughtful text itself or text-to-text connection, capitalization, and proper punctuation. Now that is the easiest way to get a point, making sure that your answer starts with a capital letter and ends in a period or a question mark or an exclamation point. Okay? So, in this lesson, old Henry is very sad because he misses his wife. What happened to her? Okay, so although that is our question, it's just what happened to her, I'm going to try to use as many words as I can from the first part of the question. It says, in this lesson, old Henry is very sad because he misses his wife. I'm going to start my answer with old Henry is sad because he misses his wife. Period. Oh, my answer is going to have 2 sentences. She, and then I'm going to answer the part. What happened to her? What did happen to her? She died 5 years ago. So that is a good answer. Scholars, I hope that you notice that I'm writing in pen, and am writing in pen because I'm a teacher. You need to make sure that you are writing in pencil so that if you make a mistake, you can erase it and change it. Okay? Let's see, what's the second question we have here? Have you ever missed someone a lot? When? An inappropriate answer would be no, right? I know that a lot of you have had to leave someone before, or have gone on vacation before and you miss someone, or maybe you really miss your teacher from last year, or maybe you're missing your friends because you haven't seen them because we're in quarantine. Anything like that. Okay, I know what I'm going to say. Take your time, write your answer. I'm going to write mine, and then we can compare them. Okay? Okay, so I finished my answer. Let's wait a little bit longer so you guys can finish yours. Okay, this was my answer. Yes, I miss my daughter Ella a lot when she has to go to daycare and I am at work. Can you read me your answer? Yeah. We've all have had times where we miss someone. And then, of course, I will be able to see your replies when you take a picture of that. So make sure you take a picture of this, of your answers, and upload it to our Google Classroom so I can see what you said, and make sure that you're answering every part of the rubric. Okay? I hope you enjoyed today's reading lesson. I wonder what Tim and Henry are going to be up to in tomorrow's lesson. Okay. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you later. Bye.